Hi, this is Crystal Hardison from Southeastern Livingston Center. I'm the director, and you are listening to Local Leaders, the podcast.
Hi, it's Tricia Johnston, residential realtor with Blum with your real estate tip of the week. October is Fire Prevention Month, making it the perfect time to take a fresh look at the fire safety systems at your house, making sure that everything's working properly or to add anything that's missing. Things you should check are smoke detectors, fire extinguishers, carbon monoxide detectors, sprinkler systems, and rope ladders in any upstairs bedrooms. These things could not only save a life, they could save you money. Many insurance companies offer homeowners policy discounts when you take steps to make your home more safe and secure, or add things like deadbolts or a security system, or update things like your electrical wiring, plumbing, storm windows, or replace the roof. Every insurance company offers different discounts, so you should call your insurance agent. It'll be worth the call to find out if you qualify for any additional savings. If you have questions about this or anything real estate, please don't hesitate to give me a call and I'll be happy to help. I'm Tricia Johnston with Blum, and I'll be back here next week with another real estate tip for you.
Hi folks, I want to tell you about Denham Springs Fit Body Boot Camp and their 28-day, $77 Jumpstart program. There's no strings attached and really no reason not to try. You can be in and out in just 30 minutes, and best of all, these 30-minute sessions are scheduled throughout the mornings and evenings to fit your busy schedule. These 30-minute sessions are fun, positive, encouraging, and you can even sign up online. Just visit getfitdenhamsprings.com. Denham Springs Fit Body Boot Camp, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Hey everyone, it's Jim Chapman, and welcome back to another edition of Local Leaders, the podcast. This is number 130, and today we welcome a famous man in these parts. He is Martin Wilmott. He owns Mission Inflatables, LLC, and the Dinosaur Experience. Welcome to Local Leaders, the podcast, sir.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm looking forward to spilling the secrets.
Yes, and we've been pushing you out on social media a little bit, and all these beautiful dinosaurs and kids smiling and all those sorts of things. Been getting a lot of interaction with that. But before we get into all that, so we might have noticed a little accent when you talked. Is that authentic, first of all?
Yes, I'm a true Cajun. No, I'm only joking. No, I'm from England originally. I've lived here about 10 years now, but originally I was born in England. In Essex, which is about an hour north of London.
Okay, very good. And, it was interesting when we met for the first time, you had told me some people think that might be part of your act is your accent. And they actually think it's Australian.
That's right. Yeah, I regularly get mistaken for Australian. And I tell people, no, that's where we sent all the bad people. Australia is where all the bad people got sent and we kept all the good ones.
That's right. Yes, it was. It was a, what did they call that back in, there's a word for it. But where they sent all the prisoners, basically.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so you were the good people. You're on the good side. Yeah. Very good. So you have an amazing business, and unlike any other business in the area that I'm familiar with, probably in the state, and that is the Dinosaur Experience. And then on top of that, you have Mission Inflatable, which is another side of your companies. But you have an interesting story way before that stuff. And so I want to get into that. As you said, you were born and you lived in England for 40 plus years of your life?
Yes, that's right, yeah.
Okay, and then you were Saints fan.
That's right. I'm a huge football fan, and I'm a big Saints fan. And in 2009, the Saints came to England to play a game. They played the Chargers. And it's a regular thing if you're not aware that the NFL brings games to Europe and London, and they play regular season games every year. So the Saints were coming, and I was aware of that. So I decided to put on a tailgate in the local area, a local pub. And we got a lot of local people come, and a lot of people from this area came over as well. And we had a real good time. I got speaking to a good friend of mine from Covington and his wife, and they invited me to come back and stay with them for a month or so and watch a few games. So, and that's what I did. So that was 2009. And then ever since then, I've been real good friends, and we came back I was coming back every year, watching a few Saints games and LSU and any sort of football that I could watch, and then going back again and doing some more work, and then coming back again. And so really the Saints, the reason that I came and moved to Louisiana.
How about that? That's an interesting story. And eventually you met a lady.
That's right.
And tell me about that.
Okay, so at the time I was a photographer. I've done many, many jobs, but I was a photographer. And I'd been booked for a wedding in New Orleans, and I was going to stay with my buddy in Covington. And I'd been talking to a young lady from over here, and I came over and met her. And the story goes that you meet, you fall in love, and the next thing you know, you're getting married, which we did about a year later. And then I moved over here, and we've been together ever since. And that's Dawn. Dawn, if you're listening and watching, hello.
Shout out, Dawn.
I love you so much. And she's a school teacher at the Central High School. So.
Oh, very good. And you have two 18-year-old daughters?
That's right, Hannah and Raina. They're at college at the moment. They're at Southeastern and doing very well.
So they are twins.
That's correct. Yes.
Excellent. I know that feeling. I got some 15-year-olds myself. Well, 16-year-olds now. Just turned 16. So shout out to my twins, who probably aren't listening.
And we got a young son as well. Well, I say young. He's 13. And so he's into all the things that 13-year-olds are, and playing video games and that sort of thing.
You know, it's funny. They seem like they're always young kids to us. I mean, my son's 18 now, and I still tell people kids.
Sure.
And I'm like, he's an adult now. He's
sure.
in college.
Yeah,
I mean,
right, our children, and you look at them, and my son, 13, is taller than I am now. So.
Yeah. Wow.
Yes.
Got a basketball player in hands. Awesome. So y'all have that happy family, and you had mentioned you worked several jobs, over your life, I guess you could say. And I'm just going to cover a few of them, but you were number one, and first and foremost, I want to cover, you were in the British Army. That's right.
I was in the Army for 8 years. I was in the infantry, which is in the British Army, in the Royal Anglian Regiment. And in the last sort of like period of that, I was actually working for intelligence. So
awesome! Ooh, intelligence. That's a whole nother podcast.
I was going to say that. If you've got to spare 3 hours, that's a whole nother podcast.
Oh, you got gold right there. That sounds good. You were also a Land Rover sales manager. So the Land Rover, very popular vehicle here.
Yes, we absolutely. I fell in love with the brand with Land Rover, and I started there as a salesman and worked my way up to the sales manager, and learned a lot of good things selling cars. It taught me how to talk, how to walk, and how basically sales work. And the truth is, if you can't sell something to somebody that they don't want.
Yeah.
If they don't want it, then you're wasting your time talking to them.
Yes.
So you have to build the desire, and that's the truth. You have to listen to what their needs are. And then you can work around how you can pitch and let the people know what the advantages are of whatever it is you're trying to sell. But I'm trying to think on a value type of thing. I want your listeners to have value from this interview.
Absolutely.
And so when it comes to that sort of thing, it's so important that you listen to what they're trying to tell you. And then you can learn from that, and then you can, tell them what the advantage is. And if there isn't any advantages, if you're selling something they don't want, then you're wasting your time. So I'm sorry, but I can't help you. But Joe down the road's probably got something that you're looking for.
That's right.
And they'll love you for it, because you're wasting your time if they don't need what you're trying to sell.
100%. And I think it's all about building value in your product. And I have people all the time. I prefer, obviously, same thing with you, but anybody that wants to come on the podcast, I need to meet with them first. And you get a lot of people like, well, how much does it cost? And all these sorts of things. And I'm like, let's sit down, let's talk about it. Because if I just spit out a number, nobody knows what they're getting for that number. I could say it's just make an easy number. It's $1. And that person says, okay, it's $1. That's cheap. I'll take it. Well, they have no idea what they're getting. What if that dollar is not a good value?
Sure.
So without having the opportunity to build value in what I do, I feel like the person can't make an educated decision. Plus, I don't know if it's something they need.
Sure.
It may be something that wouldn't benefit them. And I wouldn't have someone on my podcast if I didn't feel like it would benefit what they're doing.
Hey ladies, it's Pate with Idell Lane Spa and Boutique, located in Walker. We offer all things skincare, hair care, makeup, spray tan, lashes, and more. And we have a full selection of clothes. And we also do private events from birthday parties, bridal showers, and more. So stop by today and get your queen on, making every woman a queen. See you soon.
So I agree with you 100%. And selling vehicles and things like that, that is a great stepping stone for anybody to learn sales.
Absolutely.
Most of the professional salespeople that I know that are very good at what they do started out that way, believe it or not.
Yeah, and people have this opinion of salesmen, regardless of what it is, of being like snake oil salesmen, and it's all that. But the best are the ones that only sell you a product that you need.
Yes,
and that's
100%.
The truth.
Honest selling.
You can't force somebody into something they don't want, or you can, but they'll never come back to you.
Yes.
You can only skin a cat once.
Yes.
But you can feed it for the whole life. That's if you skin somebody, they're not coming back. And you see salesmen do this all the time, and they're like, oh yeah, I made a sale today, and I ripped them off and made all this money, and you're like, you've got to think of the lifetime of a customer. And that's a really important thing. Like if you can keep somebody coming back regularly, then you're made. That's how businesses are made. It's not through one sale, it's through 100 sales.
Yes. And it's interesting. I believe in that 100%, relationship selling. And what I realized through selling paint was I was selling something that you could get somewhere else at a competitor. And so how could I separate myself from that person? Well, the key was myself. I was different in the way that I did it. I built relationships with people. We became friends, things like that. And so it wasn't a customer one time. It was a customer for life. And so that was the way I sold, and I found that to be the difference because you couldn't get me at that competitor. I only came with my product.
Absolutely.
So,
and that's the difference between brand and sales. If you can build a brand, then you're the person. You're the one that they know.
You're branding yourself.
Exactly.
That's right.
And that's the power in the brand as well.
100%.
It's what it is. It's you are the brand, and you're the ambassador for that brand.
Yes.
And so if you think of someone, in my market, everybody compares me to something like Steve Irwin because he's an Australian and he was allowed and he did. But he wasn't the only alligator hunter out there. There were thousands.
Yes.
Or crocodile hunter as it was. But he was the one that stood out. He was the brand. And he was the one that everybody thinks about. And that's what, I try and achieve with the Dinosaur Experience and Mission Inflatable.
You 100% do. And you do achieve that. And you are, you and I think so much alike. It's just amazing because I actually have a book that I've been working on forever, but I call it Rep the Product, Sell Yourself. And so the product is the product, but you're really selling you with the product. You want people buying from you and they get this amazing product on the back end. So it's funny how we think so much alike there. And I do want to say this quote from you. It's a good lead into that. And you said the cores to successful businesses don't change, just the execution.
Absolutely.
That's dead on.
I love studying businesses, successful businesses, and working, like looking at how they did it. And I enjoyed reading Sam Walton. Well, I say read. I listened to a lot of books. So Sam Walton's Autobiography, who's the man, if you didn't know, who set up Walmart.
Yes.
Fascinating book, absolutely down to the core values of how to do business. And some of those values are still very strong there today. But if you read through it today, it was written, I don't know, 50 years ago, and you can read a modern book today, and the core values don't change. It's all about looking after your people, looking after your customers, making sure that you're thinking about, making sure that you want them to come back.
Yeah. 100%. I bet y'all didn't know that you were going to learn all this today from a guy who owns a dinosaur company.
Exactly. Well, I just want to give value. I want people to understand and listen to the. I always approach things in a backwards way. So, what does my person want? What's their ideal? So to me, you're my person here, and you want more listeners, and to get more listeners, we have to give them good value. So I'm trying to think of things that would interest me as a business owner, because that's who we're talking to.
Yes, it is.
And some of the tips that we can give them. So
100%. And I do want to build on what you just said, and with regard to that the cores of successful businesses don't change, just the execution. That is Nick Saban. Who you're a football fan, you may hate Nick Saban, but especially around here because he left LSU. But if we're all honest, he's likely the best college coach to ever step foot on a field. Sure. Even though he lost last week. But one thing I'll say about Nick Saban is I've read his book that he wrote very early on when he was still at LSU, and one of the things he preaches up until today is, you buy into my system. My system works. We win. The core values of my system will never change. And this is Nick Saban talking. What I did 25 years ago to win, I'm still doing today. It's just the way in which I execute it that changes. He said that. So that is 100% on. Once you find something that works, you don't want to change everything. Sure. You only, you might have to roll with the punches and change some things as innovation, takes control. But those core things, those never change.
Yeah, the answers to the question don't change, just how you get there. And with technology and that sort of thing, that's the thing that's changing. But the way that what you're aiming to do doesn't change. You're always trying to, 100 years ago, people used to send telegrams to weddings. Now they actually turn up, or they can do FaceTime, but it's the same thing. It's the same thing, but with technology, you can do it in a different way. And people get afraid of technology. They're not sure about how this new stuff's going to be. Currently the new thing that's on the bubble of getting really big is NFTs, and the majority of people don't even know they exist, which is a great time to get into it.
Yes.
And that's the next bubble that's going to be there. Podcasting's been around for 10 years famously, and it's getting huge now.
Yes.
And what the internet has allowed us to do as businesses or individuals is to cut out the middleman. Right. It used to be, if you wanted a TV show, you had to go and speak to somebody, and somebody in a suit would sit there and judge you and decide whether you're good or bad, and maybe they might put you on the TV. Now, if you want a show, make one.
Make one.
Get your phone out, make one, put it on YouTube. And the customer decides.
That's exactly right.
The customer decides if you're good or not. And so the middleman has been cut out. And that's how you learn. You do more and more, you try, you practice, you get good at what you do.
100%. And it's interesting with that on that subject. YouTube has enabled people that are extremely talented to get on and do a show where they may not have ever had that opportunity any other way. So it's literally created stars from someone in Egypt that, had YouTube not existed, they never would have existed. Absolutely. They would have been doing whatever it was before that. So, obviously I'm a big fan of YouTube.
Yeah. Well, I think we all are.
It opens up opportunity.
You have to be. If you're in business and you're not talking to your customers, then you're not going to be in business long, because your guy next to you, he will be.
Yes.
If you're not out there talking to your customers in every way you possibly can, then you're not going to be in business very long. Because the days have gone where you used to wait for them to come through the door and speak to you. You now have to go to them.
Yes.
And to do that, you have to provide value. You have to give them what they're looking for.
Yes. Mike Tyson used to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and run. He would jog all over, and people would ask him, man, you're the greatest. You're the champ. Why are you getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and running? You can do that at 7 o'clock. And he said, because the guy I'm fighting ain't doing it.
Yeah.
You know, he was doing that way. That would push him.
Sure.
I'm up at 4 o'clock and I'm running, and that guy's sleeping. And, you know, so that's the kind of mentality you have to have as a business owner a lot of times to succeed, in my opinion.
That's right. You're in a competition with yourself.
Yes, exactly. 100%. Very well put. So back to you and away from Mike Tyson. BJ Pawn and Gun in Denham Springs wants to buy your unwanted gold jewelry, gold coins, and gold bullion. With 30 years of experience operating in the Livingston Parish area, BJ Pawn wants to be your source when selling your gold. So stop by BJ Pawn today for a no-obligation offer. BJ Pawn, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. So you're chugging along. You're married. You're here in Livingston Parish, and you are a photographer at this point. Mm-hmm. So tell me about that.
Okay, so photography. I specialise mainly in wedding and portraiture photography. I don't do that anymore, so don't get in touch with me anymore. I'd still take pictures, but for my own enjoyment.
Right.
And what I found was the business side of it I wasn't enjoying. I enjoy taking the pictures, but the business side of it was a bit of a drag. You know, for example, you'd shoot a wedding 5 years ago, and then you get a text or an email from somebody who'd say, hey, my Aunt Flo passed recently. You've got a picture on page 27 of my album that's like a thumbnail size. Is it possible you can get me a 10/8 of that? And then you're like, sure, yeah, let me look at my files from 5 years ago. and they're all negatives at this stage, and you're going through. And so, yeah, whilst you did that, because obviously that's an important thing for that customer, it was a drag on everything. So, I kind of moved away from the photography side, but I had a lot of fun with photography. I actually photographed the NFL games in London, which really was fun, because that, I'd have done that for nothing. Because what happens, obviously, the games were coming over. It's expensive to fly people over to shoot the games. And the sports photographers in England didn't know the games. Yeah. They don't know the game. Yeah. So, they'd be at the wrong end. For a kickoff, they'd be at the end where the guy's kicking, and all the action's at the other end when they're catching it.
Yes.
Because they don't know the sport, they don't know. They'd be standing next to Tom Brady taking a picture of a lineman. Because they don't know the players.
Yeah.
So because I had the inside knowledge, I got the gig of going to Wembley and shooting some of the photographs, shooting some of the games, which was fantastic. You know, like being on the sideline there. And I had dreams of coming over here and doing the same, but it's a little bit crowded over here. There's a few people who know what they're talking about over here. So
yeah, it's a little bit different.
Yeah, so wedding photography was fun, but the business side of it was not. And then of course when I moved over here, you're starting again. You've got no reputation to live on. In England, I'd built myself to a good standard where, I didn't have to work hard to get business. When you come over here, you're just the new guy. So
yeah, good point. And I also love photography, and I don't know what it is about it, but it's just something where when you get that great picture, it's a hobby for me. I will never be a photographer. I'm not that good, but playing with lenses and trying different things and lighting and my children actually had homecoming recently, and I took homecoming pictures, and I'm like, wow, that's pretty good for it's all the camera. It ain't me, but
it's really hard.
I'll take credit anyway.
It's really hard to take pictures of your own family because they just don't want to know. It's like, oh no, you're just dad. I could never get good pictures of our own children. Well, I've got some where they're not knowing that I'm taking the pictures, but when you try and pose them, they're not interested. So.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. I agree 100%. Now, from there, you also worked for Walmart, kind of in their, you did a different capacity for them in which you were an academy trainer.
That's right.
Walmart has an academy?
That's right, yeah. Okay. I worked at the Denham Springs Walmart here. I started at the Watson Walmart. I was the sporting goods manager, and then I moved to the Denham Springs one here, store 935, shout out. And I worked at the Walmart Academy, which is Walmart has a training school for their managers. So the idea is if you become promoted or you come in as a manager, then you come to the school and we teach you all the systems and the hand software and the machinery and how the systems are designed to work. And so we have a school back there, and we would teach the new managers coming through, and they'd come to us depending on what they were being trained on. Sometimes it was like 2 or 3 months, sometimes it was like 2 or 3 days, depending on what it is. Wilmot's constantly updating its systems and how things are worked.
Sure.
And so, they might bring in a new thing, and then we'd have to train people up on what it was. So, yeah, I worked at the academy, had a really good time there with everybody there, and it was almost a dream job for me. I enjoy talking and teaching. So.
Yes, I can tell. You're very, very articulate and communicate very well, and that, of course, so it shows in your personality that you enjoy doing that. Now, during that time, were you running your businesses, or? Yes,
I what happened? 2016 was when the flood happened. Obviously, people around here know that, and we got some water in our house, about 6 inches. So we had.
You might as well say 4 feet.
Yeah, we had
at that point,
to have the house repaired, and I did a lot of the work on the house myself. So I took all the floors out and the walls and everything. They wouldn't let me rebuild it, but they would let me take the stuff out. So because of that, when the insurance paid out, we had some cash left over. And that was when we started our first business. That was when we started Mission Inflatable. We bought 2 slides and a trailer, and that was how we started Mission Inflatable. And that's basically set us up. And then we went from there, and we bought a few more slides and bits and pieces until we got to Mission Inflatable where it is today.
So how did you, what made you think, I want to go into the inflatables business? What was that moment?
Okay, so again, in a previous job, I worked for Pizza Hut. When I first moved over here, I didn't know anybody, and it was a job I could walk into. Yeah. And I worked at Pizza Hut as a delivery driver at first. And on one of my deliveries, I would always get chatty with the customers because the accent just attracts it, and they always want to know what you're doing and how you got here and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Now, one of the deliveries I was doing was to a guy and his son, and they were unloading inflatables at their house. And I got talking to them, and they said, "Oh, yeah, it's a good business. It's a hard business, very physical, but if you're willing to put in the work, then it can be a good job." And I was like, "That's something that stuck in my mind." I was like, "That's something I can do."
Yeah.
And every, we didn't have a lot of money. We had zero money. In fact, we had negative money. And I would try and squirrel away money. I'd try and put, like $1 here and $10 here and $50 here. Yeah. And I'd put it away with this dream of eventually buying a water slide. And then something would go wrong. The fridge would break, or the washing machine would break, or the kids had to go on a school trip.
Life
or whatever.
would happen.
And we never got that break where I'd get it close to like having nearly $1,000, and then something had happened and we'd have to spend the money on something else.
New tires.
Yeah, and then the flood happened, and obviously that was devastating. I'd never go through it again, or never wish to go through it again. But in the long run, it actually benefited us because instead of taking that money and buying a new TV, we invested in ourselves. And I think
call.
That's something that people really need to understand is, if you think of it like Monopoly, like you don't try and win Monopoly by going around the board and collecting $200 every time you go round and not buy anything, not do anything. If you want to win, you have to invest. And that was something that stuck in my mind. It was like we've got to be able to pull ourselves out of the position we're in without just having jobs that aren't paying enough for us, to live.
Yes.
So we decided to invest, and we bought the first 2 slides, and we went from there. So
yeah, and you had and you still have this business, important to mention.
Yes.
So what do you have now?
We've got 9 inflatables now. We buy 1 or 2 maybe a year, depending on where we're going and how we're doing.
9 inflatables.
9 inflatables.
Wow,
now,
so you've grown a lot. That's great, man.
Yeah.
So you went from two slides to 9 inflatables.
Yeah, to 9 now. We've got 7 inflatables and 3 bounce houses. Well, two combos and a bounce house. And we're always looking to get more. Now, obviously, we've got the issue we've got this year and last year is the shipping is horrendous. So if you're trying to buy anything at all, you've got to plan a year or 2 in advance. And as it was, we used to get into the summer, earn some money, and then buy a slide. Well, if you do that now, by the time you're actually ordering the slide, it's going to be a year before it turns up. So we're in a holding pattern on Mission Inflatable at the moment. We can expand, the business is there, but we're just measuring how we want to do it and looking at taking on more staff, which is the trick really. Once you've got 9 out there, it's kind of a beast to get them all out and back again, especially with the Dinosaur taking off and we're doing birthdays on Saturdays and Sundays. That takes a whole load of time out. So
that's a great point. And you brought up a couple of keys there that I want to dive into. The first is the shipping. So, and I'll give you an interesting stat if you ain't heard it. I had read an article yesterday that basically it was saying for Christmas, if you want to order like Christmas presents, expect to order them by mid-November, or you may not get them by December, even if they're in the United States, because they're expecting such a heavy Christmas season that they won't have enough truck drivers to transport the Christmas gifts. So I've never seen it that bad, and none of us have ever seen it this bad with quarter shipping of any product.
No, it's
Fit Blends of Denham Springs can help you with everything from meal prep to supplements. I love it that they serve breakfast all day, in addition to the best ultra healthy wraps you can really get anywhere in Livingston Parish. They are home of the $5 Smoothie Friday and are an amazing sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Fit Blends Denham Springs, fast, fit food for you.
It's a huge. A lot of things have happened. You've got the ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal that messed everything up for that time period for like a month or so. Nothing was moving because nothing could get through.
Nothing.
So that meant all the ports were blocked up with stuff that was like coming to the ports that couldn't be shipped out. And then the ships started to get loaded, and then COVID, of course. And what happens, in Asia and China, if somebody gets COVID, a person in a port gets COVID, they shut the port.
Yeah.
And so that might be for weeks, 2 weeks, and then they'll reopen again, and all the freight then moves to the next port down the road, and so there's a huge backlog of freight trying to move around the world.
Yeah, so, that is one issue, obviously, with all businesses. And then on the other side of that, you have the labor issue. And the saying used to be good help is hard to find. Now it's just help is hard to find.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I mean, I have...
Good or not.
I'm blessed that we have a guy that works for us, Jaden. Again, superstar. If I could clone him and make more, I would do. Yeah. He's very reliable. He works the hours we ask him to. But I'm always we're always looking for similar types of people, and I'm the kind of guy that if there's no work to do, then there's no work to do. But we have real busy periods, and then we're getting into a quiet period now because in the summer, obviously the slides and things don't go out as much.
Sure.
Although the Dinosaur keeps us going.
Sure.
So I'm the kind of guy that if I have to be a boss around you, you're not going to be employed very long.
Yeah.
You need to be showing me that. I don't like paying people to watch me work.
Yeah.
And I'm very much a get in the dirt type of guy. I'll be in there, I'll clean, I'll wash, I'll drive around and get as dirty as the next guy, but I won't have somebody watch me do it.
No.
And pay them.
Yeah. No, you don't want to do that. And it's important to mention that, especially in the inflatable business, and I know this from experience of I'll just tell a quick story. So I was I have 3 kids, and of course over the years we had done the inflatable thing. Kids love the inflatables, and I remember distinctly, this is probably about 10 years ago, but we had done an inflatable, and they come and they set it up, and it was a little bit of a fee to take it down and all that, unless I want to do it myself. And I said, well, I'll do it myself. I'm not how hard can it be? Let me tell you, I would have paid them double what they were asking any time after that, because it was a pretty big inflatable and heavy. and it was muddy, so I had to spray it off first, and all these things, and then you got to let it dry out. You don't want to just roll it up because it'll mold. And
that's the hidden side that people don't realize, they don't see is the people see you come, put it up and take it down and go away. They don't see you put it up again, and when you get home, clean it, make sure it's dry, make sure and now obviously with COVID you've got to be triply as good. You've got to make sure it's all disinfected at the top and anywhere that people touch. And that's the part that people didn't see, and it's also the part that some businesses don't do.
Yes,
and that's the thing with us. We're very conscious that we never take out a dirty slide. It's got to be clean.
Yes.
Even if we're picking up from somewhere on Saturday and moving it on Sunday, then when we get it to where it's going to be, we're going to wipe it down before anybody gets on it, because it's again, you can skin a cat once.
Absolutely.
You can take it to them once dirty and they'll never book you again.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking at the lifetime of customers. And that's a fascinating thing to do. If you ever looked at your worth to somewhere like Walmart, as an individual person, how much you spend at Walmart, or a family. Me and my family, we spend, I don't know, $300 a week, something like that. If you work that out, it's 52 weeks a year over the next 20 years, and our family, etc., we're actually worth probably about $500,000 to $750,000 to Walmart, just one family.
Yeah.
And if it only takes them to mess up once and upset us badly that we don't come back, that's like $500,000, $750,000 that one company isn't going to have. That's how I look at individuals. If somebody's booking us, then I don't want them to book once. I want them to book for their whole lifetime and their family's lifetimes. So I need to make sure that they get the best experience that we can give them.
And you just said it, something that I believe in deeply, and that is, if you give someone a good experience, you're not only going to get their repeat business, you're going to get the business of their friends and family. Absolutely. Because they're going to refer you. The strongest thing you can do for a business you're happy with is tell somebody else, refer them. That's the lifeblood of what you do, because Holly Homemaker, for lack of a better name, she hires you, and that's great for her kid's birthday, but she probably has 20 friends that they have kids and they're going to have birthdays, and you want her to tell every one of them, oh, they were so great, they showed up on time, they were professional, all of those things, and that is worth its weight in gold.
Yeah, we're always aiming to create conversations. We want people to be talking about us, and we want them to be talking in a good way as well.
Yeah.
So we're constantly trying to think of new and different ways to do what we do. We do the same thing, but we do it differently.
Yeah.
How can we get that conversation going? At first, it wasn't hard, because you're the new kid on the block. But now it's, now people have seen us a bit more. We need that conversation to keep going. We need to keep reinventing ourselves, new ways, different ideas.
Very good. Yes, 100%. Now, let me ask you, of all your inflatables, which one is the most popular? Or is there one? Or do they all kind of...
I wouldn't say there's an individual one. Slides, it depends on the time of year as well.
Sure.
18-foot slides are probably our most popular because they're in the right price bracket that a small family could afford, and they're not too big and they're not too small. So kids can get on it and adults can get on it.
Yeah.
So an 18-foot water slide is probably the best in the summer.
Is there a theme maybe that's more, like say a castle theme?
We try not. I mean, we try not to go with too much of a theme, because we want to appeal to, when we've only got 9. If we had 109, then you can go with Batman and Spider-Man and that sort of thing.
Sure.
But when you've got 9, you want the bounce house to be able to appeal to the 3-year-old who's into Mickey Mouse and the 7-year-old that might be into Low Dolls.
Good point.
So we're in a position where if we bought a Cindy house, then that would only appeal to a small amount of people. You're not going to get a boy on there.
Yeah.
And so we try. At this moment in time, we're neutral with what we do. But as we expand and get more and more and more, then we can specialize a bit more.
Sure. So. And trends change, and so you sure don't want to invest in a bouncy house for. I don't know, pick a character, and then that character in 2 years is stale and nobody cares about it.
I got to tell you, I've been looking at one, and it's a bounce house, but it's huge. It's 1,000 pounds weight, this thing.
Oh, wow.
And it's the Millennium Falcon, and it is the size of the Millennium. You get in it and you can walk around the cockpit, and I've fallen in love with it. But it's just
adults would get that. I might jump in that.
I could, like it's a ridiculous price to buy, rent, to buy, and then it'd be crazy to rent it. But it just looks so good. But then it's cool. Star Wars, and Star Wars is on target. I mean, Disney owns it now, so it's probably got another 10, 20 years in it. I don't know. Yeah. But
it's iconic.
But yeah, it's just that if we bought
the 70s.
If we bought it would be for me. So
yeah, indeed, yeah, that would. And what a presentation that would be, I would imagine. So pretty cool. So maybe stay tuned for that one day. So. William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance in Denham Springs can service all of your insurance needs. Offering auto, life, health, and commercial insurance, William Waldrop of TWFG Insurance is a proud supporter of Local Leaders, the podcast. Obviously, you're rocking and rolling with these bouncy houses. Now, this is kind of like a side hustle for you as you're at Walmart. You're doing both things at once. When in late 2018, you started the Dinosaur Experience. Were you still at Walmart then?
Yes. I was still at Walmart. I just moved to the academy, in fact, when we bought our first dinosaur, Nash. And I'd had this idea. We were going out to birthday parties with our bounce houses. And I noticed that a lot of the birthday parties, probably more than half, were dinosaur parties. It was Jurassic Park, or it was like dinosaur parties, and it was something that was burning in the back of my head. If we could do something dinosaur related, there's a business in this,
Yes.
And also the inflatable business is very much seasonal. Like most businesses are, but it's a summer seasonal thing. Now in Louisiana, that's great because summer sort of like lasts in April and gets through to like late October.
Right.
And you can still, we've still got them out this weekend. But we needed something that would stretch out over the winter. So we were looking for another project that we could do. And I decided that if we could find like one of these dinosaurs that you see at Disney or Universal that walks around, if we could get something like that, we could build a business out of it. We could do birthday parties with that sort of thing.
Yes.
And that's where the idea came from.
Seemed like you were always kind of thinking.
Oh, I never stopped.
You definitely have an entrepreneurial spirit.
Let me tell you, it's killing me at the moment. I drive around at the moment and I drive past all these trees that are down. And in my head, I'm going, people will pay you to clear up their yards. They'll pay you to come and cut this tree up and take it away. And then you drive 300 miles up north to somewhere where it's a bit colder and sell it. Mm-hmm. And it's just in my head that there's just money sitting there that I don't have time to do. So if you're listening to this, get your truck out, hire a huge bed, go and be paid to clear up somebody's yard.
Major paid,
up,
yes.
And then drive up north and sell it for firewood. And then you're going to be made for the next 6 to 12 months.
Well, let me tell you this. On that point, it's interesting in that the most expensive part of a storm is the cleanup, obviously. But from a state perspective, the contract that they give the people that have the big, crane that picks up the wood, and the reason they have you separate that into piles is these companies, the companies request it, but also they're going to pick that stuff up. They're going to put it in their truck, and they're going to do just what you said. Smart. Yeah. I mean, that's what they should do. And it's good. It's not going to waste. It's being reused. But the whole point to this story is they are expensive. None of that is cheap from a state government perspective. Mm-hmm. The most expensive part of a storm, probably 60% of what it costs is in those guys picking that stuff up. Then they're making a killing there. Then they're taking that and they're selling. Yeah. They're making more of a killing. Yeah. It's amazing.
I mean, it's entrepreneurship in its best form. It's like these people need a service, and so do these people. I can provide service to both of them, and they're both going to pay me.
Yes.
And it's like it's perfect. It's the perfect business.
But there's only 24 hours in a day.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. If I had 1,000 people under my employment, I'd say, right, today we're clearing yards, and tomorrow we're salesmen. We're going to go and sell wood.
That's right. I love it.
But I'm constantly. You're right in what you say. My my wife will tell you, I can't stop thinking about. I'll drive past something and go, "Oh, there's a business in that," and then before
almost like ADD.
Within 2 hours, I've got the whole business plan sorted of how we're going to do it, how we're going to do that. I'm like, no, you're too busy as it is. I've got at least 3 businesses burning inside my brain that I'm desperate to start, but can't at this moment in time until I've got these other ones going to where I want them to be.
Yes.
And the problem is when I get them to where I want them to be 6 months ago, I've now moved the goalposts.
Yeah.
I'm now
right.
I'm now building and building and building on the current businesses as well as the new ones that I've got.
100%, and I think that's a big thing with what separates you as a business owner is when we sat down and we were talking. You have the amazing thing about you is you have a plan, which is important. You want to have kind of a short-term plan, a mid-term plan, and then a long-term plan. And you have all that. I mean, sitting down with you, you would have thought you went to Harvard Business School. You know your business, and you know business in general. That impressed me a lot. And so at some point, okay, in here, you're running 2 businesses now, and eventually you figure out in order to focus on these 2 businesses, you've got to make a decision with Walmart, right?
Yes. Yeah, I tell you exactly what happened. COVID happened, which, again, it's a huge switch in your mind. Like the business plan says we're doing this, and then all of a sudden you can't do that because, whatever, life throws a fastball in your way. There's an obstacle there. So I said to the wife one day, I said, look, what we should do, let's get Nash, our big dinosaur, out, and we'll put him on the trailer, and I'll build a cage, and we'll make it look like he's in a cage, and we'll just go and visit a couple of friends and just go and take the dinosaur out there, and they could come out the driveway and wave to us, and we would just speak to them, keeping the 6-foot distance and making sure. And this was during lockdown. And we did that, and we went out, and they put some pictures on Facebook and whatever, and then their friends started getting in touch. Hey, would you come to our subdivision and do that? And we were like, yeah, okay. So we did that, and then we were turning up at these subdivisions, and every driveway had a bunch of kids at the bottom. So where we would normally visit 2 houses, we were visiting almost every house. So we were driving around these subdivisions, and we'd stop at any child that we saw, we would stop and have like a 30 seconds to 2-minute chat with them about dinosaurs or whatever they wanted to do or show us, and then we'd move on. And that then became more and more and more. So instead of doing it just at weekends now, I took 2 weeks off. I took 2 weeks I'd used all my vacation, and we said, right, we're going to knock this out. We'll get it done. All these people that have contacted us, we're going to do it. And then, so at this stage, it started to get bigger and bigger. So I had to put something on the website with a form to fill out because the phones were just constantly ringing about, can you come to us? So we put a form on the website, and people were filling that out. And we were getting thousands of hits on the website every day. Wow. So I did the 2 weeks, and we just couldn't keep up with the amount of people that wanted us. And at this stage, we were getting police escorts. Police were coming and meeting us and saying, right, we're going to drive you around the subdivision with all the lights flashing, and stopping at every child, having a conversation, what have you.
That's amazing.
It was a
Did you ever think?
No, it was a magical time, let me tell you. And we would say to people, right, we're going to do these subdivisions. There's 5 subdivisions we're going to do today. We're going to start at 9, and we don't know what time we're going to get to yet. And people would be tracking us. They'd be on Facebook saying, "Oh, they're at so and so road now." And
awesome.
We would get to the last subdivision, and it would be turning dark, and we'd turn up there, and at the bottom of the little, at the bottom of the driveways, the children would be standing there in their pajamas, holding their dinosaur toys under their arm, and they'd been waiting for us the whole day, and it was It was so special. It was a magical time. Everybody loved us. We loved them. And we had people had signs made, and it was like we'd just come back from the moon. It was like Neil Armstrong time.
Yes,
it was a magical time, and it was really special. And then, of course, so at that stage, it just kept coming. And now people were offering to pay us. People were like, "We'll pay you to come to our subdivision. Our homeowners association will pay you to come to ours." And we were like, "Well, we do need money.
Yeah.
You know, we do. It's a business. You know, at the end of the day, we do need. So then we started saying, okay, all right, well, look, we'll take payment. And then it just went even crazier. Instead of slowing down, people were like, yeah, come to us, because everyone's stuck at home. There's nothing for them to do. Netflix and Tiger King was about all there was.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we were like a distraction. We were the show in town. And that's what we did. So I went into Walmart one day and I said, look, I've got it's time. I have to leave because, you know, we're on the crest of this wave and we have to ride it as long as we can. Yeah. And that's what we did. So I left Walmart on great terms. Love the people there still. And just, you know, for the next 2-3 weeks, however long the lockdown was, we just hit the streets and every day we were driving around. Wow. And that triggered, you know, our Facebook page. From, you know, we were the Dinosaur Experience was a very young business at the time, and we went from like 800 followers to like 5,000 in the space of like a month. Yeah. And we built that now to almost 10,000, 9.5. I'm hoping to hit 10 before Christmas, but we'll see how we do with that.
That's interesting. You'll hit it next week. It just drops. Hopefully.
The Dinosaur Experience. Come and like us on Facebook.
Yes. Like them on Facebook. And I want to say, you know, just back up a little bit and just say, for those that may not be familiar, I'll tell you another quick story with how I became familiar with you. I want to say my wife had went to the library or something, maybe, and there was you know, the cards, I don't know what, not a rack card, but
it's like a
3x5 type thing, and it was your stuff, and maybe they were maybe it was the library she went to, but anyway, she came home and she says, "You need to get this guy on your podcast." She throws it at me, and I'm like, you know, it's one of those things where sometimes she does this and I look at it and I'm like, yeah. I looked at this and I'm like, what is this about? So, and this was like a year ago, and really kind of looked into it and found it very interesting. And then much like you, things happened and you get so busy with, you know, we are so blessed around here to have so many people reach out to us that we're just now getting to the point where we hooked up and got this done. But the interesting thing about your business, for those that may not be aware, is the dinosaurs themselves. And you were talking about, we had talked about you can't go down to the local general store and buy these dinosaurs.
No, these are specially handmade, ordered things. They're not. It's not. You know, there's no producing these things. So Nash, for example, our big dinosaur, we had to have that made in China. It's the only place that can make them, and so he was designed there and brought over. Rexy, he's our baby T-Rex. He's the mischievous one that all the kids love. He's the bad one. He was actually made by a very good guy in Baton Rouge, Barton Gilly.
Interesting.
He works on. He's an incredibly talented guy who makes movie props and stuff for concerts and that sort of thing. You know, you've got an idea, he'll make it for you. Yeah. He does a lot for the 13th Gate, for example, in Baton Rouge. He does a lot of their stuff. So this guy, again, if I had $1 billion, he would work for me, and I wouldn't let anyone near him. Yeah. Because I have these crazy ideas, and I go to him, and he like looks at me and he's like, I said, can it be done? He's like, yeah, but and I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about how we can do this.
Yes.
And so I went to him with this idea for the baby T-Rex. Now, I didn't want it to, I wanted it to look realistic but not frightening. Again, which like putting these impossible tasks in front of him, and I wanted it to make it look like it was alive. To me, it didn't. There are other people that sell puppets that are puppets. Yeah. And that's fine. That's what they are. I wanted this one to look like it was real and have a character about it. And he did it fantastically. And he's made another one for us since, Susie. She's similar to Rexy, but she's the female, and we dress her up in a tutu and things like that when we do a lot of girl birthday parties.
Oh, that's cool.
And so Susie's there as well. So
awesome.
But yeah, shout out to Barton. He's an absolute superstar, and he knows I've got so many. Every time I go there, I've got new projects for him.
Oh man, he sounds like a good one to get on. A future podcast.
Very. Let me tell you, he's got some stories now. Not all of them he can talk about because he goes. Here's the thing with him as well. You're working on a project with him, and you have to understand that at a second's notice, he could get a phone call and be in California working on a movie.
Yeah,
and that's what happens. And that's what happened with Rexy. He was like working on it and doing it, and then he had to go and work on a movie. And
yeah, I got to go hang out with Sylvester Stallone. Rexy gonna have to wait.
Yeah, you've got to go to where the paycheck is.
Sure,
and I completely understand.
Oh
that,
yeah,
so.
Yeah. We're business owners.
Yes.
We get that stuff.
Yes.
Well, shout out to him, and important to mention something in your name, and that is the name of your company is the Dinosaur Experience. That's just what it is, and that's what we want to press down here. This is what makes you really different. I mean, there's 100 things that make you different. This really separates you. It is an experience. It is not just something where a dinosaur shows up at your house and you walk it through and it's over with, right? This is a whole show.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. What we didn't want to do is be like a picture on a wall, like, oh, that's cool, or like a fossil, like you go and look at it, it's cool. Yeah. We wanted the people, especially the children, to have an experience with us, not something that they can just walk past and point at, like you would have in a museum. Fantastic museums, but they have their use. We wanted the children to experience it. So when we do things, when we do public events and libraries and schools and pre-Ks and birthdays, we bring our dinosaurs and we want the children to get involved. Now, the older children, they understand it's not real. They understand that dinosaurs died millions of years ago, and this thing in front of them isn't real. But within 5 minutes, we've got them acting like it is. That they are having an experience with a dinosaur, and we get them training the dinosaurs, and it all goes wrong, and they laugh and think it's real funny. But yeah, that was it's something. And again, we want that water cooler moment of the conversation. We want them to have a core memory of when we came and visited, whether it's at the school or whether it's at their birthday party. We want that to be a memory they have for their whole life, and so we try and make that experience as memorable as we can.
Yes, and you script these shows yourself. You work on these, and they change over time. You probably have several different.
shows. I mean, we've got a set thing that we do for most birthdays, but every child is different. Every child, like some of them with Nash, who's the big 15-foot walking T-Rex, he can be a bit much at first.
Yeah.
So normally we start with him, but if we're realizing that the birthday child isn't like really into it, then very nervous, then we can shift him out, bring the baby out, and the baby's the one they all fall in love with, and we can normally win them over with that, and then bring Nash back again once they're a bit more confident.
Yeah.
We have a set routine that most of the birthdays run to. We'll, if you've got ideas, then we'll work with you on whatever ideas you may have. But we kind of got it down to pat. Now we change and adjust as we go. If I might say something and the kids laugh and think, oh, I'll try that again, and try it again and it works again.
Yeah.
That gets into the show.
Yeah.
Other stuff we've tried just falls flat in its face. We're not going to do that anymore.
Yes.
But yeah, we're constantly adapting and changing, looking for better ways of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely, and it is. It's an experience from start to finish. Kids would certainly love it, and there's certain, I guess you could say demographics that you like to hit, and obviously birthday parties is a big deal. That's probably the bulk of what you do.
Yeah, it is currently. Every weekend we're busy doing the birthdays. Now, sometimes, depending on the distance we have to travel, the furthest we've been, we're based in Watson, the furthest we've traveled for a birthday is San Antonio.
Yeah.
So you can imagine when we do that pretty much takes out a weekend out of your calendar.
Oh, absolutely.
So, some weekend, like this weekend coming, we've got 6 birthdays. And that's almost as many as we can do. We do one at 11, one at 1, one at 3, one at 5. We could probably get one in at 6:37 if they were local enough.
Yeah.
But 6 is about as many as we can do in a weekend.
Yeah.
if there's a long distance one, then that messes up how many we can do. So,
sure.
But yeah, so that's the weekends. Monday to Friday we do. In the summer we don't stop. We do summer camps. We do schools. We do pre-Ks. We do all that sort of thing. Churches as well. They have us a lot. We come and do church stuff. Monday to Friday, we are really aiming now to get into schools. We've got a lot of schools that we go to, pre-Ks as well. But this year, the whole project, or the next 12 months, is going to be getting us into the Monday to Friday to do schools and libraries and that sort of thing.
Absolutely, and I think libraries is a great segment of the market for you. I just think that there's so many things that y'all, it's not only an experience of the kids love it and even some adults, but it is the experience of learning. Sure. And libraries and learning go hand in hand.
Exactly.
What you do is you're teaching.
Exactly. We're teaching and the kids don't realize it.
Right.
We'll ask them questions and that sort of thing. And let me tell you, the knowledge sometimes, these children are so knowledgeable. Now, I purposely don't put myself out there as a dinosaur expert because I'm not. I read and I try and learn as much as I can, specifically about T-Rexes because that's what we have. And so when the kids ask questions, I've got a good idea of what I can answer. But some of these guys, they live in these dinosaur books. And so in that scenario, I'm like, well, you tell me, you teach me what you know and how it is. And then I can pass that knowledge on to somebody else. So, I'm not a paleontologist. I haven't done any college stuff or anything. But I learn as much as I can through YouTube and videos and books, and the children teach me a lot.
Yeah, interesting. Boy, they're getting sharp these days for sure on those dinosaurs. Now, are you pregnant, or do you know someone that's pregnant? Well, we have the perfect place for you. Look at Me 4D Imaging has you covered right here in Livingston Parish to get your next ultrasound or find out the gender of your baby. Look at Me 4D Imaging offers a newborn baby boutique, gender reveal supplies, keepsake heartbeat animals, same day and next day appointments, and they are conveniently located right in the heart of the town of Livingston. They are here to help capture your memories that will last a lifetime for expecting moms and their families. Miss Anna would love to introduce you to your baby. Check them out on Facebook or visit their website at lookatme4dimaging.com to see what they have to offer, or give them a call at area code 225-435-9749. Look at Me 4D Imaging, a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast. Now, the obvious question, at some point you chose dinosaurs as your route, and this is, I'm going to do this dinosaur experience. What made you pick dinosaurs as the way to go?
It was, the passion behind the children. I think every child, girls and boys, have had a time that they've fallen in love with dinosaurs. And I think it's one of those magical things, because you might like unicorns and you might like dragons, but dinosaurs were real. They were real. They were real things that were here, and that's
100%.
That's kind of like, it blows your mind when you think about these huge monster things that were really here. And so it's kind of a magical thing. Now, we purposely get into that to try and teach and explain and show, what dinosaurs could have been like in a friendly, fun way. And that's, we just want the experience to be good.
Yes.
And for them to have fun whilst learning at the same time.
Oh man, it is a great business model, and I can't impress enough that it is an experience, an entire experience. So, obviously social media, big thing for you. You pretty much built your business on social media and word of mouth and all of those sorts of things. Would you agree with me that that's probably been the biggest component to your success?
Undoubtedly.
Yeah.
Social media is, without social media, we would be nowhere near where we are today. We could still generate some conversation,
sure.
but we have to be able to put stuff out there for people to see, because it's kind of hard. When we first started, it was real hard explaining to people what we were. You know, like, oh, we bring dinosaurs to your party, and then people think, oh, well, like reptiles or something. You know, like you're like a little zoo that comes and they bring spiders and reptiles. And no, we bring a 15-foot T-Rex that walks around in your backyard.
Yeah, beat that, neighbors.
And then of course they're into, okay, so you've got one of these little suit blow up things that you walk around like a big blobbly. And like, no, we've got. And so with social media, we can put pictures and video and you know, broadcasts out there and show what we do.
And people can share it.
Yes.
And then more people see it, more people. Yeah. And that's
you know, we always produce stills from every birthday, and we produce a small video from every birthday, and we put those on social. If the parents allow us, you know, understandably some parents are like, no, don't put it on social, because, you know, we you know, sometimes you deal with very important business people and sports stars, that sort of thing. They don't need any. You know, they don't need that. So, you know, so we still produce it and give them to them, but we don't put it on social. And we always ask permission if we can do that.
Very good. Very good. Now, so hopefully, and believe it or not, we've been going an hour, and it seems like about 5 minutes. Yeah. And look, we could do a 5-hour podcast with this guy. He might be a co-host in the future. You never know. But one thing we definitely want to mention are some promotions and upcoming events that you have going on. One of them is the Dinosaur Jubilee.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
Okay, so this is we're sticking our neck out a bit here. Again, another Martin idea. I've always wanted to do a live show where, you know, we can stand on a stage and just do a show with a little bit of a story involved with the kids and the dinosaurs. And so, you know, I've been writing and rewriting it in my mind and redoing it again. And we stuck our neck out and said, look, we can do it this year. So we've got the Dinosaur Jubilee coming along. Now, it was originally called Jurassic Jubilee, which is a fantastic name, and then I messed up when I designed the flyers and everything and put Dinosaur Jubilee for some reason. So yeah, but that's coming up on the 20th of November. Yeah, 20th of November in
30th.
30th. So 30th of November. My bad.
That's all right. Don't show up on the 20th.
At Christenwood in Central. Now, you can get tickets for that from our website, thedinosaurexperience.com. If you look on Dinosaur Jubilee, click there, you'll get a link to buy tickets. And please do come along. We've got a lot resting on this. It's a new project that we're working on, and if it works out, we're gonna take it on the road. So we would love for you to come. Bring your children. Adult and children tickets are available.
Yes.
Come and see us, and we'll give you a good experience, I promise.
Yes, and I'm going to link that to the description of this video, so you can just click in the link in the description section, and you'll see the dinosaurexperience.com. You click there, and it'll bring it to a link for tickets, and you can get tickets to this experience. We want to really fill that place up. You've also launched a free live webcast.
Yes, I did my first free live webcast last night. Again, I'm looking at what do my clients want, what do my people want, and these kids, they love dinosaurs. So I wanted to do a live like show for them with our dinosaurs, put a bit of comedy in there, put a bit of knowledge in there, teaching, having fun at the same time, but something that they can interact with, which is why we do the live version, so that they can come onto Facebook, watch us on there, and then they can type in there and ask questions or what have you. And we did our first broadcast last night, and it was fun. It went well. We've got some more improvements to come, which I'm excited about. But for a first one, it was good. And now they are live, but they're recorded as well. So you can go onto our Dinosaur Experience Facebook page and watch it there. And also we've created a separate group, a Dinosaur Experience for Kids group. And that was so that we could separate the business side of it from the fun kids side of it. So the kids can get on there, they can upload their pictures and ask their questions and do the quizzes that we're setting and that sort of thing on the Dinosaur Experience Kids page. And the Dinosaur Experience page can be just there for mums and dads and people to look at pictures and the business side. So I just want to provide value for these kids wherever they are in the world. We get hits from all over. And I want to be able to reach out and speak to these kids in live as we do it, and just do that.
What a beautiful thing! Yeah, that's a great thing. And there you go. So be on the lookout for that. And in proper Martin form, you are even working on a book.
Yes, yeah, we've got a storybook.
You found 30 minutes left in the day.
Yeah, actually, my wife wrote the book. So although I did say to her, look, I need to write a book. She said, well, I can do that. Yeah, you do that. You write the book.
You're perfect for that.
Yeah, because it was a project that I wanted to do. So she's written this book about Rexy going to a birthday party, which is exactly what we do. And we're having it illustrated at the moment. We're hoping it might be around sometime before Christmas. Watch our pages for that.
Yes.
And we'll be able to put that out there. I'm very, very happy about that and super proud of my wife.
Absolutely. Great job. Now, for people that want to get in touch with you, they've heard the podcast and they're like, wow, we want to do the bouncy houses, and then we want to do the Dinosaur Experience, and we want to do all these things. What is the process?
Okay, so Facebook's probably the best way to find us. So you can look for Mission Inflatable, LLC, on Facebook, or you can look for the Dinosaur Experience on Facebook, and you'll find us there. And then you can send us a message through there. We have like an automated reply, but we will come back to you. So here's the important thing. If you're looking for a birthday party, when you first contact us, tell us where you are, because we need to be able to work out.
They get messages, I'm sure, from all over the world.
We do. Yeah. And the thing is, it's like, how much is a birthday party? And we then have to say, well, where are you? Because if you're on Mars, it's a different price than if you're 3 doors down the road.
Absolutely.
So please tell us where you're from when you actually initially contact us, especially if it's a birthday. If it's a school, a library, that sort of thing, put your contact details in there. We're probably going to call you so that we can discuss how we can do it, because we normally try and split age groups, because we have a different show for the younger kids to the older kids.
Absolutely.
And then we can work out timings and how many there are and that sort of thing.
Yes.
So, but you can always go to thedinosaurexperience.com and again, send us a message through there, or Facebook. They're probably the best ways. We are on Instagram as well. Everything is under The Dinosaur Experience, because, it's just the brand.
Yeah.
So search for us and you'll find us.
And it makes it easy. It's all in one little pot there, I guess you could say. So follow those rules, folks. And the interesting thing, Martin, is we're gonna be able to we're gonna have pictures popping up throughout this entire podcast. So it'll be like the news or something. It'll pop up when we're talking about the dinosaurs. They'll pop up. Bouncy houses will pop up. Okay. So I'll get you to send me some pictures that you'd like to include. And we'll do that. So I can't tell you how much I enjoyed this.
Good.
We could have won another hour. So we'll have to have you back
one
day and definitely do part 2 of the Dinosaur Experience. And he'll probably be in a whole nother country then. He's expanded all over the world. It'll be a great one. If anyone's going to do it, this man right here will. I'm going to link the Facebook pages and all that stuff, the Instagram, to the description of this video as well. So look for that. Make it real easy to find you. And thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having us, Jim. Yeah, I had a really good time.
I want to thank all the listeners and viewers of Local Leaders, the podcast, for all of your sharing and your friending of my page. I think we've went over 8,000 subscribers on YouTube as of like 4 days ago. So that's a beautiful thing. I think we're close to 10 on Facebook and close to 10 on Instagram last time I looked. So we're excited, and it really is people like you that come on the show. That's what this is all about. Y'all really, really make me look good, to say the least. So thank you very much for all of you out there that share everything that we do, and share this post. When this drops, I want everybody to share it. The more people that share it, the more exposure this gentleman gets, and that's a great thing. He's doing a great business right here in Livingston Parish. So check that out. I also want to thank my sponsors for Local Leaders, the podcast. I say it every episode. I could not do any of this without all of you. I appreciate you very much. And as I say every episode of Local Leaders of the podcast, I am Jim Chapman, reminding you, love your community, support local business, and keep leading. Thank you very much. Planet provides a full range of residential and commercial landscape services, including plant and tree installs, grading and drainage, patio paver and retaining wall installs, and much more. Reach out to them at 225-252-4905 Planet, they are a world apart and a proud sponsor of Local Leaders, the podcast.